عذرة
Hello and welcome. You're watching WION World is One with me, Alison Lagrange, for our special report on Beirut survivors, the scars and the struggle. Now, once a reputed cultural hub and a thriving port, parts of Lebanon's capital city, Beirut, now lie in ruins. 2 weeks after the deadly blast, the Lebanese capital is still struggling to rise from the ashes. Our next report brings you more.
The catastrophic blast at Beirut's northern port on August 4 claimed over 170 lives and injured thousands of people. The immense damage to buildings and houses speaks of the intensity of the explosion. Shell-shocked residents often find themselves staring at the heaps of rubble and debris, contemplating all they've lost. The Lebanese capital has witnessed several wars and invasions from foreign powers in the past. However, those events could not break the vivaciousness and cosmopolitan nature of the city. With every blow, Lebanese citizens come back stronger than ever before. But this time, the situation is starkly different. Some say the port blast has broken the spirit of the city. Such a dismal outlook has rarely been heard in Beirut.
It's been a week and we've been seeing damages. But when you come here and you look at one building and then the other one and the other one and the other one, then you look around and everything is destroyed. There's nothing left. These are the places we used to hang out. This is a bar we used to go to. This is my friend's house. This is the port. I mean, these are streets we know and love. This is what makes Beirut, and now it's all gone. It's beyond repair. It's beyond repair.
On the skeletons of shattered buildings, people have hung national flags with Lebanon's distinctive cedar tree emblem in the center, a sign of love for one's own country amid the ruins. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
As the dust from the massive explosion in Beirut settles, the world bears witness to political upheaval in Lebanon. People are demanding prosecution of the corrupt and the complicit. A resentment pours out on the streets of Beirut. Protesters are met with water cannons and tear gas. Gadi Francis, reporting for WION, gets us more.
Everything has changed. Right now we have spent more than 1 hour on the road around the port of Beirut to enter Beirut downtown city. People used to go there to enter their offices, their homes, the centers of their work. And now, everyone is going there to help clean the rubble.
This country needs justice, and it cannot continue like this, because we don't have a future here if it continues like this.
The government and the search teams have already declared that they stopped looking for survivors. Yet, 50 and more people are still missing. You've been here from the first day?
Yes.
If you could say something to the whole world, what would you say?
That
Lebanon is really such a good country, but because of our government, yeah, we don't deserve this.
Many offices, many centers, one newspaper and one statistics company are all centered in this building. Many days have passed. How are these people coping? How are they cleaning their offices? Let's go together and see.
I was just entering my house. I was just putting my things on the table in Marmkhayil. And the window just blew in front of me. And I cannot remember for quite half an hour. And we went to shelters. We thought that the war is about to start. We were screaming to go to the shelters. This was our purpose. We were just like, we were waiting for the other bomb, for another bomb. We were waiting for something bigger again to happen. 10 minutes before the bombing, we were here. We were at this side of the building. We have offices at all this side. There's so many NGOs, so many organizations. Search for someone you trust. Search for organizations you trust. If you want to send funds, it is now the opportunity for you to help to rebuild Beirut.
It will be a week of the explosion that left the people of Beirut and the world in shock. The sound and the heat of the explosion that was literally felt as far as Cyprus Island has resided. But the echo can still be heard in the seething anger of the people that came out on the streets. There seems to be no immediate resolution for Lebanon. From Beirut, Ghadi Francis for WION, World is One.
The devastation caused by the blast in Beirut is there for the world to see. The loss to life and property has made global headlines. Hundreds of thousands have been left homeless, and yet, even 2 weeks after the blast, horrific stories continue to emerge. Here's a report.
5-year-old Sama was in her living room when shards of glass hit her eye. As the deadly blast ripped through Beirut on August 4th, Sama now suffers from a painful eye injury.
Sama
was in the living room, a few meters away from the window. When the blast happened, her mother immediately engulfed her, thinking that she protected her. After more than 3 minutes, we realized that Sama's eye was injured and that she is bleeding.
One of the biggest tragedies of our time is unfolding in Beirut. The explosion caused by a fire in a warehouse which stored more than 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate has killed more than 177 people and wounded more than 6,500 across Beirut. As volunteers comb the rubble-strewn streets and distribute aid, new stories of human loss and suffering are coming to light. And Beirut's healthcare system finds itself completely overwhelmed. The World Health Organization says that more than half of the 55 healthcare facilities in the city are now non-functional. As coronavirus patients continue to flood hospitals, the onslaught of victims of the Beirut blast is now further filling hospitals to their maximum capacity. Hospital beds, intensive care units and respirators are falling short. COVID-19 cases are also mounting in Lebanon and have hit a new record in the aftermath of the explosion. On top of all this, due to the blast, at least 400 people have suffered ocular injuries. More than 50 require surgery, and some have been permanently blinded in one eye. This web solutions developer still dreams that he had complete vision.
I had plans to learn new things. I had plans to learn skydiving or to dive, or just plans that I wanted to do during my life. I don't know about my career because, I'm a developer, so I'm not sure how much I could still use the same skills.
Many in Beirut have a dilemma on their minds. Should they remain among what's left of their beloved city and try and pick up the pieces? Or should they leave it all behind and start afresh? For now, all around them is pandemonium. The blast ripped through precious works of art and destroyed livelihoods. 5-year-old Sama's dreams too have been hampered by the blast. All she wants for now is her vision to be restored. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
The chances of finding any survivors in the rubble are negligible. The anger on the streets of Beirut is growing, and families of those missing cannot afford to lose hope. They allege that their appeals for speedy rescue efforts are falling on deaf ears. Our next report has more details.
Ghassan Hasruti's family spends their days huddled around the television. They are desperately awaiting any update on his whereabouts. Ghassan had been an employee at Beirut silos for almost 4 decades. He has been missing since the deadly blast on the 4th of August.
I believe that he will come back, that he is waiting for us. My father is superb. I love him so much. Everyone loved him. He's so kind. He loves everyone. He's so brave. And I think he will be fine. If we find him now, because time passes and time passing is never in our favor.
The giant silos had reinforced concrete walls and underground rooms. The silos had been Ghassan's shelter for many years during Lebanon's long civil war. He used to tell his family that he was safe inside the silos even during the height of the conflict between 1975 to 1990.
When I found out the news and they told me that he was still at the port, I had faith that he survived, because he used to always say when he was going to work during the war and the shelling that the safest place to be were the silos. He used to say that I am more afraid for you than for me, because over there, nothing can shake us.
While the bodies of his colleagues have been pulled out of the rubble, 21 others, including Ghassan, are still missing.
The bodies of 2 of my father's colleagues have been removed from the rubble, and the work is continuing, but at a very slow pace. We still have no information about his fate, even though we know where his location was at the port.
The family last heard from Ghassan at 5:30 p.m. on the day of the blast. They believe that he and 6 of his colleagues are somewhere under the silos, and they are holding out hope that they are still alive. Families allege that Lebanon's rescue response has been too slow and too unorganized.
We don't want this negligence to continue, because these people who are missing are not just numbers. If they are just numbers for them, for us, he's a father, he has friends and loved ones. They are being dismissive with our pain.
Residents of Beirut are seething with anger. 158 people have been killed, 6,000 injured, and close to 300,000 are homeless. But instead of aiding the rescue mission, Lebanon has deployed forces to quell the protest. Families of victims plead that those missing are more than just numbers. They are still holding on to the faintest hope to see their loved ones once more. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
For 29-year-old Lebanese bride Isra Seblani, her wedding shoot was halted suddenly and unexpectedly. She considers herself lucky to not be harmed, although she was very close to the vicinity of the blast. This report tells you more.
This was meant to be one of Isra Seblani's happiest moments in life. In central Beirut's Safi Square, she stood smiling, posing for the camera for a wedding shoot. Dressed in a white wedding gown, she looked radiant. And then, the calm of Beirut was shattered by deafening explosions. The shockwave threw Isra Seblani off her feet. Seblani had arrived in Beirut 3 weeks ahead of the big day. However, the blasts turned her plans on the head. Both she and the groom, Ahmad Subeh, were left shell-shocked. They just felt lucky that they were sufficiently far away from the blasts to survive. Seblani, who works as a doctor in the United States, helped check on the injured. In a moment, the bride had become a first responder.
When I was there, everybody was telling me, we are glad that you are safe, we're happy you are safe, alhamdulillah and everything. But I was like, yeah, alhamdulillah, but still I'm not believing what happened. Please don't talk about it anymore. I was like in a dream. So after that, my husband told me we have to continue. We can't stay, we can't stop it, we can't. We have to continue. And I was like, yeah, okay, why not? We'll continue. But I wasn't living the morning, actually. I was just legs walking, just my face was smiling, my lips was smiling. That's it, not more. Then we went to have a dinner, and that's it. We went to another hotel, and that's it.
We started to walk around, and it was extremely sad. It was not describable, the devastation and the sound of the explosion. We are still in shock. I have never heard anything similar to the sound of this explosion.
A day later, she and the groom Ahmad Subeh, a businessman in Beirut, were struggling to process what happened. The couple feels they will no longer be able to live in Lebanon, not after the gruesome blasts. At least 135 people have been killed and an estimated 5,000 injured. Preliminary investigations have blamed unsafe storage of ammonium nitrate at the warehouse. But for Isra Seblani and her husband-to-be, the trauma of the blasts will take a long time to heal. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
On the day of the blast in Beirut, many foreigners were lounging in their hotel, sipping coffee or attending a Zoom call. Some were visiting markets and religious places. Then the expats felt the ground beneath their feet collapse. Among the dead is the wife of the Dutch ambassador to Lebanon. Some lucky ones had a brush with fate but lived to tell the tale. We bring you a ground report from Beirut.
This is Hedwig Waltman's Molière, a foreign victim of Beirut blasts. She later died. The wife of the Dutch ambassador to Lebanon has donated her organs after she died from her injuries in Beirut blast last week. Hedwig Waltmans was not the only foreigner living in this cosmopolitan city. Many other foreigners witnessed the blast and made some sacrifices. In the footage, this place was affected by the blast, like many hotels in Beirut that have many foreigners. Activists, journalists, and even movie stars from all around the world come to this cosmopolitan city. Today we will see how they lived it and what happened. Marilu Nahas, a prominent Netflix star, is one of the Americans who witnessed the blast.
I was in my bedroom next to the glass door, and the first explosion happened, and it felt like an earthquake. But I saw black flames coming out from behind the. I was on the 11th floor, so behind the buildings, and then I moved away. Like my first instinct was to actually move away from the glass door. But I was contemplating it, so I was watching because it felt like, I don't know, it felt like it's not over. So when I moved away, I was still looking at the spot where the first explosion happened. And matter of seconds, this whole contemplation was a matter of seconds. And the big explosion happened while the glass door actually was getting out of its spot while the explosion was happening and flying towards me. So I was moving away while watching.
Shakir Khazal is a Canadian writer that lives in Beirut. He too says his piece.
Beirut is a cosmopolitan city, and I always say it's somehow the New York of the Mediterranean, because there are people from everywhere. It's close to Europe, it's close to the GCC, which are two places I work a lot in. I've been writing from Beirut. I always feel inspired. I stay in this hotel, which exposes me to a lot of travelers here, and from there I get a lot of my stories. And today the Middle East in general is the focus of so many events happening in the world, and Beirut is right in the heart of it. So being here for me is important, not only for my business and work, but also for my creative juices. It's the scariest thing ever. It's traumatizing, because even me as an adult, a week after, I'm still super scared to walk next to glass or to be on a balcony. So I can only imagine what kind of trauma like the children of Lebanon will go to. Plus, Lebanon as a country has been going through turmoils, economic, political stability, the fighting the corruption in this country for the last months. So this blast doesn't only shake the nation for its impact, it shakes an entire system, and it did. And hence the resignation of the Prime Minister, a lot of other changes that I can see happening in this country.
These people know the challenges of living in Lebanon, and it seems it makes it more attractive to them.
So I was on a Zoom call with my New York colleagues when all of a sudden the building really started shaking. I thought it was an earthquake at the beginning, but then the window just fell out of its frame, and I heard a huge detonation. I was like, that must be war. I'm part of this small community of young French and French Lebanese people here who knew what we were getting into living in Beirut. So on some level, it was a shock, but it wasn't a surprise, if that makes any sense. And we decided to make it our life project to be here, so it's not going to change anything, although unfortunately a lot of the people I know have lost their houses or had their houses destroyed or we were wounded, injured. We all know someone who died.
The French and the Americans aren't the only foreigners who work or live here. Workers who come as housemaids saved lives and also helped clean streets. In the end of this report, let us not forget the other foreigners, the poor foreigners. The Ethiopian workers who volunteered and came out to the streets to clean with us, and the 43 Syrians that died and are still missing under the rubble. Ghadi Francis from Beirut for WION, World is One.
Let the music heal your soul. That's a song and also life's motto for an old lady in Beirut. Soon after the explosion, she took to the piano and played a soulful melody to heal a devastated Beirut. Here's her story.
Somebody once said, music can heal wounds, which medicine cannot touch. And that's exactly what the 78-year-old May Melki did as she returned to her wrecked home. A day after the deadly blast that ripped through Beirut, the mask-clad grandmother is seen playing Auld Lang Syne among the debris and damage of her apartment. Melki's daughter-in-law captured the moment. And the video has gone viral ever since.
I started filming and I was wondering, what will my mother-in-law do next? Is she going to sit on the piano or do something else and check the house? I was holding the camera to film for my two daughters who are studying and working abroad. in order for them to see what is happening at the home of their grandparents, who they are very close to.
For the septuagenarian pianist, music is therapy.
Music has always been an expression, same as words or singing. Music is an expression. It is a habit of mine to come and sit on the piano and play. I interact with music.
May and her husband were saved since they weren't home when the blast occurred. However, their shop was severely damaged and their home of 60 years left in shambles.
I have a message that I want to deliver, and it is not to feel depressed, as such a thing has happened to us once, twice and thrice in Lebanon, and every time we rose. Hopefully this time Lebanon will rise.
Melki has found peace and hope at the keys of the only undamaged item in her home, the 60-year-old piano. The video's sentiment has also resonated with many others online. Here's hoping Lebanon finds comfort in Melki's music. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And with that, we've come to the end of our special broadcast, Beirut Survivors, the Scars and the Struggle. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.